I want you to completely bypass the usual definitions today.
Right, because we all know the mechanics of that Sunday evening crash.
Exactly. The sky turns that, that dusky blue color.
Yeah.
The weekend is packing its bags, and you feel that that really heavy dread just settling right over your shoulders.
We really don't need to define the Sunday scaries.
Oh, you know them. You probably felt them just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
What we actually need to look at is why the standard advice for dealing with this.
The bubble baths.
Right. The bubble baths, doing some Sunday evening yoga, the meal prepping, why all of that always feels like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Because it is.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are bypassing all those surface-level life hacks and going straight for a complete cognitive teardown of how you approach the start of your week.
And really, by extension, your whole life.
It's an essential teardown, I think.
It absolutely is, because we've universally accepted this misery as just a baseline condition of adulthood.
Like it's normal.
Yeah, we treat the dread of Monday as a law of nature, like it's as inevitable as gravity.
But it's not.
No, from a psychological standpoint, this isn't a biological imperative at all. It is a constructed reality.
A habit.
Exactly. It's a very specific, deeply ingrained habit of the mind. So our goal today is to examine a radically different approach to breaking that habit.
We are going to look at how to fundamentally change the architecture of your internal narrative.
And to do this, we've got a really fascinating source.
Yes, we are pulling from a single, highly impassioned source today.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. We're looking at a video transcript from the YouTube channel I Am Cabrini.
And the title alone.
Yeah, the video is titled Monday is the Best Day Ever, with a question mark.
Which is quite the hook.
I know. The title alone feels like a provocation. I mean, if you are deep in that Sunday dread, your first instinct is probably to roll your eyes.
Sure.
But what Cabrini delivers in this material, it isn't just mindless cheerleading.
Not at all.
She brings this raw, unfiltered energy that serves as just a masterclass in cognitive reframing.
She's really challenging her audience.
Totally. Challenging them to completely redefine fear, personal responsibility, and how we actually interact with our own reality.
It's a really interesting mix of spiritual philosophy and very grounded, like, punch-you-in-the-mouth practicality.
Which is often where the most enduring mindset shifts come from.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that high-level philosophy to give you a direction, but you need the grounded practicality to actually take the steps.
You have to know how to walk the path.
Right. And as we unpack Cabrini's arguments today, my role here is to decode the underlying psychology behind her really passionate delivery.
To kind of ground it.
Yeah, because it's one thing for a motivational speaker to tell you to, change your mindset.
That's super easy to say.
It is. But we need to explore the precise mechanical reasons why these specific shifts, she suggests, are so effective.
The neurobiology.
The neurobiology, the behavioral psychology at play. We want to ensure that you walk away equipped to actually implement this reprogramming in your own life.
Okay, so let's unpack this right from the jump.
Let's do it.
Because Cabrini sets the stakes immediately by labeling her audience.
She doesn't mess around.
No, she doesn't say hello viewers or welcome back. She addresses you directly as Sunday manifestors.
Sunday manifestors.
Yeah, and she doesn't use that term lightly at all. She clarifies that she calls you manifestors because whether you realize it or not, every single day you are manifesting something.
It's the default setting.
Right, the default setting of the human experience.
We really need to pause on her definition of that word, though.
Manifesting.
Yeah, because manifesting carries a lot of cultural baggage right now.
Oh, for sure. People think of
They picture someone lighting sage,
crystals,
creating a vision board, writing a wish in a journal 50 times, and just waiting for a sports car to magically appear in their driveway.
the secret kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's often treated as this highly intentional, almost mystical side hobby.
But that's not what she means.
No, Cabrini strips all of that away.
No.
She presents a much more grounded and, frankly, much more intimidating psychological reality.
Pushes away.
That your baseline state of being is active creation.
Always.
Always. There is no neutrality.
Right.
If you are breathing, you are generating a reality through your focus, your expectations, and your energetic output.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If I'm sitting on my couch on a Sunday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am dreading a genuinely stressful Monday morning meeting, isn't that just a natural biological response to an upcoming threat?
Sure.
So why does Cabrini frame that as manifesting misery rather than just reacting to reality?
That is the exact crux of the issue. Yes, your brain is designed to anticipate threats. That is a basic survival mechanism.
Right.
However, there's a massive difference between preparing for a difficult meeting and pre-living the emotional devastation of a day that hasn't even happened yet.
Pre-living it. I like that.
When Cabrini calls you a Sunday manifester, she is pointing out a phenomenon known as a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Driven by what?
driven by your reticular activating system.
The RAS.
Yes, the part of your brain that filters information. When you spend 5 hours on Sunday agonizing over how terrible Monday will be,
You're programming the filter.
you are actively programming that filter. You are telling your brain Monday is a threat. Monday is miserable.
So it looks for that.
Exactly.
Mm.
Consequently, you wake up Monday morning and your brain actively seeks out evidence to prove you right.
That makes total sense.
You notice the traffic more. You interpret a coworker's neutral tone as aggressive. You feel exhausted before you even sit at your desk.
Wow.
You didn't just react to a bad Monday. You engineered the cognitive framework that guaranteed it would be bad.
And she paints a very vivid picture to illustrate this exact collision.
The Sunday trajectory.
Yeah, the typical Sunday trajectory. She says you've maybe just left church or a day of worship or just a really restorative morning.
Right.
You've had a great brunch, you're hanging out with family, soaking up this great atmosphere.
Beautiful day.
And then the pivot happens. Suddenly the internal monologue shifts, and she mimics it perfectly in the video.
How does she say it?
She says, "Girl, I hate going to the job. I just hate everything about Monday. I can't wait till Friday."
Notice the extreme cognitive dissonance she is highlighting there.
It was crazy.
It's psychological whiplash. She specifically mentions that earlier in the day, you might have just sat through a sermon on gratitude,
Yeah, being thankful for life.
acknowledging that simply being alive is a gift. She even brings up a very sobering reality in the text.
The part about young people.
Yeah, she mentions that there are young people passing away unexpectedly, people who didn't see it coming.
Right.
So you were sitting there, alive, breathing, healthy enough to go to a job, having just acknowledged the absolute fragility of life.
And then what do we do?
Within a matter of hours, you take all that life force and immediately pivot to aggressively complaining about a day of the week that hasn't even arrived.
It's like we compartmentalize our gratitude.
We really,
We just leave it at the brunch table, and then we put on our armor of dread.
perfectly said.
And this leads to one of the most pointed rhetorical questions Cabrini asks.
That's a tough one.
It is. She points out that you are constantly manifesting this dread, and then she stops and asks, "Is it what you want?"
Simple but brutal.
She actually repeats it to let it sink in. Is it what you want? Because if you are a manifester by default and you're spending your Sunday evening dreading your Monday morning,
You're laying the track.
you are actively laying down the track for a miserable experience, you're pre-paving the road with anxiety, and then you act completely surprised when the car ride is incredibly bumpy.
And this is where the biological toll comes in.
The stress of it.
Yeah. When you engage in that pre-paving, your body doesn't know the difference between an imagined threat and a real one.
Your body thinks Monday is happening right now.
Exactly. Your cortisol levels spike on Sunday evening. Your stress response is fully activated while you are sitting safely on your couch.
That's terrible.
You are sacrificing the genuine peace and joy of your present moment, the family time, the relaxation, to paying an emotional debt that you don't even owe yet.
It is the ultimate leak of mental energy,
It really is.
which is exactly why Cabrini's next point is so crucial.
The reframe.
Yes, because it's very easy for a speaker to just stand on a stage and say, "Stop dreading Monday, just be happy."
And people hate that.
They hate it. If someone is listening to this right now and they genuinely loathe their current job, telling them to just smile through it feels like toxic positivity.
It feels dismissive.
But Cabrini doesn't do that. She doesn't offer toxic positivity. She offers a massive economic and psychological reframe of the job itself.
This is perhaps the most practical tool in her entire philosophy.
I agree.
If you genuinely dislike your job, the brain will reject forced happiness because it registers as a lie.
You can't fake it.
You cannot just chant, "I love my job," if you don't. So you have to change the context of the job entirely.
And here's the specific reframe she offers. For anyone dreading their job, feeling trapped, feeling like they're just grinding away for someone else,
What does she say?
she says, what if you change the title of your employer?
Okay.
What if you look at the job you are going to on Monday not as a prison, but as your investor in the next thing that will come.
Wow.
Let that sit for a second. Your job is your investor.
The strategic brilliance of that metaphor is immense.
It shifts everything.
Think about the locus of control. When you view yourself as a mere employee stuck in a job you hate, you are adopting an external locus of control.
You're a victim.
You are a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
You are at the mercy of a corporation that is extracting your time and energy, leaving you depleted.
But an investor?
That word implies an internal locus of control.
How so?
It implies that you are the CEO of your own life. It implies you have a broader vision, a business, or an ultimate goal. And this current job is simply the entity providing the seed funding to keep your operations running while you build your empire in the background.
Hold on, let me push back on this a little just to test the boundaries of this theory.
Sure.
What if someone is working a genuinely toxic job?
Right.
Maybe they have a highly abusive manager, or the hours are completely unreasonable. Does calling that manager an investor actually change anything? Or is it just a semantic trick to make a terrible situation palatable?
A very fair question, and it's important to distinguish between a semantic trick and actual cognitive restructuring.
Right.
If a job is actively abusive or dangerous, you need an exit strategy, full stop.
Yeah, get out.
But let's look at the vast majority of situations where the job is just unfulfilling, frustrating, or a dead end.
The boring 9-to-5s.
Exactly. In those cases, the suffering largely comes from the narrative of captivity, the feeling that this is all there is and I am wasting my potential.
So how does the investor angle fix that?
When you reframe the company as your investor, you perform a strategic detachment.
Detachment.
You decouple your core identity from the task you perform from 9 to 5.
Oh, I see.
You are no longer just a frustrated data entry clerk. You are an entrepreneur in the funding stage.
I love that.
You go into work not to be fulfilled by the data entry, but to extract the capital. The paycheck, the health insurance, perhaps the networking or the skills that will fund your actual calling.
It completely changes your posture.
It stops you from expecting the job to provide your life's meaning, which immediately lowers your frustration when it inevitably doesn't.
Because it was never supposed to.
Exactly. You are simply fulfilling the terms of your funding round.
That makes a lot of sense. It transforms the feeling of captivity into a feeling of, like, mercenary agency.
Mercenary agency, yes.
You are there on purpose. And Cabrini points out that while you are collecting this investor capital, you can actually find joy in the micro moments without feeling guilty about it.
The little things.
Yeah, she talks about finding the small comforts that get you through. She jokes about it. She asks, is it the free coffee in the break room?
The perks.
Is it the coworkers you get to kiki with and complain with during the week? She's acknowledging that even in a waiting room, which is essentially what this job is, there are fringe benefits
There are moments of human connection.
that you completely blind yourself to when you are just blinded by Sunday dread.
Exactly. When you are consumed by resentment, you develop tunnel vision.
You only see the bad stuff.
You only see the negative aspects of the environment. By accepting the job as a temporary investor, the friction is reduced, and your peripheral vision opens back up.
You can see the good again.
You can actually enjoy the coffee or the conversation with a coworker because those things are no longer symbols of your eternal captivity.
They are just nice things.
They're just pleasant perks of your current funding environment. It's an experiment I would highly recommend a listener try tomorrow morning.
Walk through the doors differently.
Walk through the doors of your workplace as the CEO of your own future, arriving to collect a check from your primary investor. Notice how it changes your physical posture and your emotional reaction to minor annoyances.
But, and this is a massive but,
There's a catch.
this brilliant reframe only works if you actually know what you are building toward.
Yes.
If you are a CEO collecting funding, you need a business plan.
You do.
And that leads us directly into the core of Cabrini's upcoming movement.
The book she's working on.
Yeah, she mentions she's preparing her audience for a new book, and the working title she drops is incredibly blunt.
What is it?
It's called, Fuck That, What Do I Want?
Very direct.
She uses this unapologetic language to shake the listener awake, because her argument is that the universe, or God, or whatever higher power you subscribe to, simply cannot give you what you want if you refuse to define it.
What's fascinating here is how she bridges theology and actionable psychology.
How so?
Well, in the text, she references church, she mentions the pastor's message, but she frequently refers to the God in you and the universal God.
So it's internal.
She posits a framework where the divine operates through human agency. It is not a passive system where you sit back, behave well, and wait for a perfect life to be handed down to you.
It's a co-creative process.
She states it unequivocally. God can't give you, God in you, universal God, can't draw to you what you want if you don't know what you want.
I picture it like having the most sophisticated, powerful search engine in the world at your fingertips.
Okay, I like this analogy.
The cursor is blinking, but you're just sitting there, staring at a blank search bar, getting increasingly angry that no results are showing up.
Right.
The engine works, but you have to type something in. And she is brutally honest about the consequences of leaving that search bar blank.
What happens?
She says, consequently, you go to a job you don't want because you're not telling the universe what you want. You're not tapping into that thing that's in you. That's your calling.
From a psychological standpoint, let's demystify the word calling.
Because it sounds very grand.
It doesn't have to be a mystical destiny written in the stars. A calling is simply the intersection of your deepest values, your intrinsic skills, and your authentic desires.
That's a great definition.
The problem is, gaining clarity on those three things is terrifying. It requires immense vulnerability. It requires you to sit quietly with yourself and admit that you desire something greater or something different than what you currently have.
And that's scary.
Because the moment you admit what you truly want, you open yourself up to the possibility of failing to get it.
Ouch. Yeah.
So, to protect ourselves from the pain of potential failure, we leave the search bar blank. We default to the path of least resistance. Whatever society, our parents, or our immediate financial anxieties dictate.
And speaking of that vulnerability, Cabrini shares a deeply personal story in the transcript that grounds this entire philosophy.
The social media story.
Yes, because it's easy to look at a confident speaker and think they have it all figured out.
Always.
But she confesses that recently, for a year and a half, she completely lost her way.
It's a long time.
She admits she got caught up in the toxic cycle of social media. She was looking at what other creators were doing, feeling like they were far more advanced than her.
The comparison trap.
Exactly. She fell right into the trap of comparison. It paralyzed her and pulled her entirely away from her true purpose.
This inclusion is vital because it shatters the illusion of the flawless guru.
She's human.
It grounds her theory in lived, messy reality. The trap of comparison she describes is arguably the greatest modern obstacle to answering the question, what do I want?
Because you're looking at what everyone else wants.
When you are constantly consuming curated, algorithmic highlights of other people's lives, your own internal compass gets completely magnetized by their true north.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it.
You see someone else's chapter 20 while you were on chapter 1, and instead of asking, what do I want to build, you start asking, how do I get what they have?
You abandon your own values to chase someone else's metrics.
Precisely. You end up exhausting yourself running a race you never actually signed up for.
But then she shares this beautiful moment of course correction.
How does she snap out of it?
She gives a very specific shout out in the video to a woman named Leanne Kellogg. She even timestamps it, noting she's recording on April 13th, 2025. She says Leanne sent her a message that completely snapped her out of this year-and-a-half funk.
What did the message say?
Leanne simply reminded Cabrini of her own history. She reminded her that for 3 decades, 30 years, Cabrini has been entertaining, inspiring, feeding people's minds and souls, and literally teaching them how to cook.
Wow. 30 years.
That single interaction pulled Cabrini out of the comparison trap and right back to her foundation.
If we look closely at that interaction, it illustrates the profound power of anchoring to your own historical impact.
Anchoring.
Social media operates entirely on the currency of the immediate present. What is trending today, who went viral this morning?
It's all about right now.
That environment induces a state of chronic amnesia about our own substantial long-term contributions.
We forget what we've done.
Leanne's message didn't give Cabrini a new strategy or a new idea. It just reacquainted her with her own baseline.
It grounded her.
It reminded her that while other people might have flashy new platforms or viral videos, she has a 30-year track record of tangible, real-world nourishment.
Which is huge.
The antidote to the praise of comparison isn't just turning off your phone. It is deliberately looking inward and backward at the authentic value you have already created.
That is how you find the thread of what you actually want to continue doing.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I do that. Let's say I sit down, I cut out the noise, and I finally type my genuine desire into that blank search bar.
You know what you want.
I know what I want. The moment I decide to step off the path of default dread and actually pursue that calling, I am going to hit a massive wall.
Fear.
Exactly. And Cabrini anticipates this perfectly. The wall is fear, but true to the rest of her philosophy, she doesn't offer the standard advice here.
She doesn't say conquer it.
No, she doesn't say conquer your fear or crush it. She completely deconstructs fear and gives it a new job title. She breaks it down into an acronym.
Let's hear it.
FEAR. Fun, exciting, adventurous, rewarding.
This is cognitive reframing at its absolute finest.
It's so different.
Usually the rhetoric around fear is highly adversarial. We are told we must battle it, overcome it, or act fearlessly.
Like it's an enemy.
The psychological problem with fighting fear is that it requires an immense expenditure of emotional energy.
It's exhausting.
Furthermore, whatever you actively resist tends to persist. The more you fight the fear, the larger it looms.
So what's her alternative?
Cabrini advises a radical acceptance instead. She uses a car analogy. She says, don't let fear sit in the driver's seat. You are in control.
Keep your hands on the wheel.
And don't even let it in the passenger seat where it can easily grab the wheel. But she acknowledges that fear is going to be in the car with you. You cannot kick it out on the highway.
It's along for the ride.
So, instead of fighting with the passenger in the back seat, she leans into it. She accepts its presence and says, okay, fear, come on, we're going to have fun.
Here's where it gets really interesting because she gets incredibly candid about her own struggles with this.
What does she admit?
She admits, I fear fear. I had a fear of having fun. I was afraid of the adventure.
That's a profound admission.
I think so too. It's one thing to be afraid of failing, but to be afraid of the adventure itself, that speaks to a deep level of self-sabotage that so many of us engage in.
We really do.
We are so terrified of the unknown that we prefer the certainty of our Sunday dread over the uncertainty of a potentially wonderful adventure.
It's the preference for a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven.
A familiar hell. Wow.
The brain loves predictability, even if that predictability is miserable. But then she introduces what she calls principle number 1 in Cabrini's law.
Which is?
She simply states, fuck that, I made a decision. She decided to face it.
Just a hard decision.
The psychological power of a definitive, non-negotiable decision cannot be overstated.
How does it work?
When you are in a state of indecision, should I start the business? Should I look for a new investor job? Your brain is constantly simulating multiple futures, calculating risks, and generating chronic anxiety.
Spinning its wheels.
The moment you make a hard, irrevocable decision,
Yeah.
you cut off all those alternative anxiety-producing simulations.
It's a relief.
Your brain shifts from deliberation mode, which is exhausting, into execution mode, which is focused.
But let me ask you this. Does relabeling fear as fun, exciting, adventurous, rewarding actually work in the moment?
You mean physically?
Yeah. When your heart is pounding out of your chest and your palms are sweating, does spelling out an acronym actually calm your nervous system?
That is the brilliant part. The goal isn't to calm the nervous system down. The goal is to redirect it.
Redirect it.
Think about the physiological symptoms of fear. A racing heart, shallow breathing, heightened alertness, butterflies in your stomach, maybe a slight tremor.
Yeah, full panic mode.
Now think about the physiological symptoms of intense excitement.
Oh.
They're identical. The arousal of the autonomic nervous system is exactly the same, whether you are standing at the edge of a cliff in terror or sitting in a roller coaster car ticking up to the first drop in excitement.
It's just the label.
The only difference is the cognitive label your brain slaps onto that physical sensation.
And Cabrini is consciously choosing to relabel the sensation.
Exactly. She isn't trying to stop her heart from racing. She is telling her brain, this racing heart means it's going to be very exciting. We're going to go on an adventure together, fear.
And at the end of the adventure, it will be rewarding.
She is using the FEAR acronym as a real-time linguistic tool to hack her own biological response.
And to prove that this works, she asks her listeners to engage in a little mental time travel.
Looking back,
Yeah, she brings up the psychology of hindsight. She tells her audience to look back at all the things in their past that they were absolutely terrified of.
those moments where you think it's the end of the world.
Exactly. Those moments where you were in the thick of it, thinking, oh, Lord, I'm not going to be able to get out of this. And then, as she puts it, boop, 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 a year goes by and you are out of it.
You survived.
You survived. And when you look back at those terrifying moments from the safety of the present, how do you view them?
Usually as a great story.
More often than not, they become your best stories. They look like thrilling adventures in the rearview mirror.
Hindsight strips away the immediate biological threat and reveals the narrative of growth.
So what is she asking us to do?
What Cabrini is demanding of her audience is incredibly difficult. but highly effective.
Yeah.
She is asking you to apply that hindsight perspective in the present moment.
Oh, wow.
Don't wait a year to realize that this terrifying obstacle was actually a fun, exciting adventure that led to a reward. Choose to view it that way right now while you are in the thick of the terror.
Assume the reward.
Assume the reward is a foregone conclusion.
She actually models this in real time in the video.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she talks about facing her own fear of the camera, her fear of putting herself back out there after that 1.5 year gap. And she looks directly at the lens and says, "Oh, Lord, what a wonderful opportunity to face my fear and end up with you."
That's beautiful.
Her reward for pushing through the terror isn't money or fame. It's the profound, immediate connection she is making with the viewer.
That connection is everything.
By deciding to face the fear, she allows the God within her to come through, to guide the conversation, and to touch someone else's life.
Which naturally leads into the next major pillar of her philosophy, the absolute reciprocity of energy.
Yes.
Because even if you define what you want and you decide to view fear as a passenger on an adventure, you are still interacting with a complex, often frustrating external world.
Other people.
Other people. And here, Cabrini drops a very hard truth. She says, you bring it to you. You are the creator and director that's coming to you. It's reciprocal.
Yeah, she doesn't pull any punches here. She actually apologizes for being the bearer of bad news.
She knows people won't want to hear it.
She tells the audience flat out that they are responsible for the misery they are experiencing in their daily interactions. If people are dreading being around you, if you are constantly encountering friction and rude people, you are the common denominator.
That's tough to swallow.
But in the exact same breath, she flips it. She says, "Oh, good news, you're responsible." Because if you are the one creating the bad circumstances through your negative energy, that means you hold the ultimate power to create good circumstances by changing your output.
It is radical accountability.
Radical.
If we connect this to the broader psychological landscape, she is laying out a highly practical application of a law of attraction, entirely stripped of any mystical fluff.
How does she frame it?
She frames it through a paradigm that almost everyone has experienced. Customer service.
Everyone knows customer service.
She uses a very relatable, concrete example. If you go to your customer service job complaining, mad, and projecting a hostile energy, the law of attraction, or basically human behavioral mirroring, dictates that you're going to draw angry, complaining customers to you on the other end of the line.
They match your energy.
Your internal state acts as a behavioral magnet. Because you expect people to be awful, your tone is clipped, your patience is zero, and you unconsciously behave in ways that provoke awful behavior from the customer, thereby confirming your initial expectation.
But wait, someone listening might say, "Hold on, I work in a call center, and people call in screaming because their internet is broken."
Right.
I didn't manifest their broken internet. They were angry before I even picked up the phone. How am I responsible for their energy? Does this framework risk blaming the victim for other people's bad behavior?
That is a crucial distinction, and it's important to understand the nuance of what Cabrini is arguing.
Okay.
She's not saying you magically break people's internet so they yell at you. She is talking about the dynamic of the interaction once it begins. When she says you bring it to you, she's referring to the trajectory of the encounter.
The trajectory.
She suggests that if you change your internal feeling tone, if you are grounded, calm, and projecting positive energy, you can actually change the demeanor of the person on the other end of the line.
You can de-escalate.
Even if they call in furious about their internet, your refusal to mirror their anger disrupts their pattern. Your calm energy can de-escalate and transform their experience.
You have power in that moment.
You are not a passive sponge forced to absorb the world's bad moods. You are a broadcaster, sending out a signal that dictates the terms of engagement. It's the difference between being a thermostat, which sets the temperature of the room, and a thermometer, which just passively reflects the temperature.
I love that analogy. You want to be the thermostat.
Always.
And it forces you to evaluate your own energy output. She directly challenges the listeners, asking, are you feeding someone with your energy? And if you are, is it good food? Are they coming back for more?
That is a confrontational question you have to ask yourself.
Think about your family, your coworkers, your friends. Are they energized after interacting with you, or are they drained?
Right.
Are you serving them a Michelin star meal of positivity, or are you handing them a greasy paper bag full of complaints and Monday dread?
And changing that menu requires intentional, sustained effort. Cabrini is highly transparent about the difficulty of this.
It's not easy.
She, jokingly but very seriously, admits to the audience that she is voicefully, mentally brainwashing you to think a different way.
Brain.
She knows that the level of accountability and perspective shifting she is demanding is completely unnatural to our default settings.
The word brainwashing definitely makes people flinch. We hear it and immediately think of cults or nefarious manipulation or Manchurian candidates.
Sure.
But she reclaims the word here. She's talking about giving your brain a much-needed aggressive scrub. She wants to help you stop the obsessive thinking and change what she brilliantly calls the chitty chat that's constantly running in the background of your mind.
That chitty chat is a perfect description of your default neural pathways.
The rut.
It's the rut your thoughts have traveled down thousands of times. When Cabrini uses the provocative term brainwashing, she is, in psychological terms, advocating for intentional neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. Explain that a bit more.
To explain it simply, imagine your brain is a dense forest. Right now, your pathway of Monday dread and victimhood is a well-paved 8-lane superhighway.
You can drive it in your sleep.
You've driven it every Sunday for years. The pathway of optimism, of viewing fear as an adventure, of seeing your job as an investor, that pathway doesn't exist yet.
It's just trees.
Choosing to adopt Cabrini's mindset is like taking a machete and hacking a brand new dirt path through the thick brush of the forest.
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. You will want to go back to the highway because it's easier. But brainwashing yourself means deliberately forcing your thoughts down that new dirt path every single day until eventually the dirt path becomes the new highway and the old superhighway of dread grows over with weeds.
So it's going to take a minute to pave that new road, and she acknowledges that reality. She says it takes a minute. You cannot just listen to one impassioned YouTube video, feel inspired for 20 minutes, and expect 30 years of negative mental muscle memory to vanish overnight.
It's a practice.
But she offers a realistic hope. She says, based on your desire to change, just maybe it won't take that long. It requires active daily reps.
And she doesn't leave you without a training plan.
Homework.
She assigns highly practical homework to start building that new muscle immediately. She tells her audience to sit with themselves on Sunday night during that precise window where the dusky blue sky appears and the dread usually creeps in.
And do what?
And actively, consciously direct how they want to show up on Monday. Don't let Monday happen to you. Plan the feeling tone in advance.
Make the decision.
Decide right then and there how you will respond to the annoying coworker. Decide in advance to appreciate the free coffee provided by your investor. You are deliberately pre-paving the new highway before you even wake up.
And her sign-off in the video serves as the perfect final instruction for navigating this new road.
How does she end it?
She tells her viewers to go out and make someone else's day. And if you can't manage to do that, at least make your own day.
I love that.
She says, excite yourself today. Fall in love with yourself today. Because when you genuinely fall in love with yourself and the active, intentional life you are building, you inevitably radiate that out and pass that love on to someone else.
The reciprocity.
It brings the whole concept of reciprocal energy full circle.
It is a beautiful, holistic synthesis of her entire philosophy. The overarching message is clear. You stop waiting for Friday to experience joy. You stop waiting for the perfect, magical job to feel a sense of purpose.
You do it now?
You manufacture the joy deliberately on a Sunday. You carry it like a shield into Monday. You invite fear to be a passenger on your adventure. You take ownership of the energy you broadcast. And you step into the role of the active director of your life, rather than remaining a passive victim of the calendar.
Let's take a breath and recap the massive amount of terrain we've covered today.
It's been a lot.
We started in that heavy, anxious space of Sunday night dread, challenging the idea that it's inevitable. We realized that we are always manifesting, and if we aren't careful, we are manifesting misery by default.
We prepay the misery.
Exactly. We took our current, perhaps deeply frustrating jobs and radically reframed them. We stripped them of their power to hold us captive and transformed them into our primary investors, providing the seed funding for our ultimate goals.
A huge shift in perspective.
Then we confronted the absolute necessity of the blank search bar, the imperative to define exactly what we want, while avoiding the paralyzing trap of social media comparison that pulls us away from recognizing our true long-term legacy.
We have to type in the destination.
We learned to pack fear in the car with us, hacking our nervous system to view it as fun, exciting, adventurous, and rewarding.
The FEAR acronym.
We took radical, sometimes uncomfortable responsibility for the energy we broadcast, knowing we are the thermostats of our own experiences.
Not just thermometers.
And finally, we committed to the daily machete-wielding work of intentional brainwashing, building a new mental muscle to replace the default chitty-chitty chat-chat with deliberate, pre-planned joy.
It is a comprehensive blueprint for cognitive liberation. But before we wrap up, I want to offer one final provocative thought to build on everything Cabrini has laid out.
What's the thought?
We spend time discussing her concept of hindsight, how we look back at past fears and realize they were actually thrilling adventures that propelled us forward.
Yes, the hindsight psychology.
I want you to take that concept of hindsight and apply it directly to the dread you might be feeling right now.
Okay.
What if the heavy, anxious friction you feel about your current job or this upcoming Monday isn't a sign that you are failing?
That's a reframe.
What if it isn't a sign that you are stuck or broken?
Yeah.
What if that exact uncomfortable friction is the necessary investor capital you need?
The friction is the capital.
Muscle only grows through resistance. What if this intense discomfort is the exact evolutionary pressure required to force you to finally sit down, face the blank search bar, and articulate your true calling?
Wow.
Perhaps the Sunday scaries aren't an enemy to be destroyed at all. Perhaps they are a very loud, very persistent alarm clock designed by the God within you, demanding that you finally wake up, answer the question, what do I want? And start the real adventure.
Now that is something to mull over tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Cabrini's incredibly powerful source material. We challenge you to take these tools, grab the machete, rewrite your internal dialogue, and walk through those doors tomorrow as the CEO of your own experience. Have a powerful, intentional, and truly rewarding week ahead. We'll see you next time.